We bring the conversation back home as the demolition of structures along the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway corridor continues today, Monday, and Arise correspondent Leila Johnson-Salami has been on the ground monitoring events as they unfold. She joins us now to provide updates as to what she has witnessed since the crew's arrival at the site. Thank you so much for joining us, Leila. Good afternoon to you. I know you've been there since morning. Can you give us an update on the events you've witnessed thus far?
Good afternoon, Vimbai, and good afternoon, Aaron. So demolitions here at the Good Beach, just off Water Corporation Road, started around 9:30 this morning. And as you can see behind me, demolitions are still ongoing. We have several structures coming down. There are caterpillars and machines doing what they need to do to clear the road for the right-of-way. Now, if you recall, on the 1st of May at the second stakeholders meeting that was held by the Ministry of Works, there was a new alignment given to parts of the coastal road. And this particular location initially expected that the coastal road was just going to run through their car park on one side. But we were told in that meeting that the coastal road would be split into two. Lagos to Calabar on one side and Calabar to Lagos on the other, essentially running through both sides, the front and the back of this property and a few other properties to the right of this one as well. So they got served their notice about 10 days ago now, I believe, and demolitions started today. We're expecting demolitions here to be going on all week as there's quite a lot to go through. Now, the government is going to have and Hi-Tech, quite a lot to do here. You can probably see that these structures here are steel, containers, concrete, not as easy to bulldoze through as it was when we were at Landmark covering those demolitions there, more makeshift properties, should I say. So it's going to take them quite a while to get through this. And yeah, they've started today.
All right, Leila, talk to us. How are those that own Good Beach? How are they feeling? What's their reaction to this demolition?
Well, they understand that this is for the greater good. They always knew that a coastal road was coming. They just expected that the coastal road was going to run through their car park. So they're now looking to how they can move forward with their businesses. Good Beach alone has about 400 or so, over 400 direct employees working here. About 70% of those employees actually live here on site. So there are a lot of people whose jobs are in question now. And there's a lot to think about in terms of employment, what these people do. But at the end of the day, knowing that there's nothing that they can do to save this place, they're just looking forward to the future now and how they can reinvent themselves going forward and keep their business alive.
Now, Leila, I know you've stayed on the story since its inception, and there was so much outrage and passion about these developments at the start, and things have waned down significantly. Is that the same sense that you get on the ground when you speak to the workers and people who live in that vicinity? Has their passion also died down over the past few weeks?
I wouldn't say their passion has died down, but I'd say people seem definitely more burnt out than they did a few weeks ago. You know, these demolitions are ongoing. We've been covering this for a few weeks now. This road is going to be 700 kilometers long. So there are people here who have been planning for this for a couple days, a couple weeks, and they're at the point where they're just a bit burnt out. So no, I wouldn't say the passion has died down, but when you realize that there's nothing that you can do necessarily, but try and find a way to move forward, I think emotions move from anger and upset to what can we do to go forward and how can we move forward. I would say in terms of how people feel the most affected are those who are employed in places like this, who are going to be out of jobs, at least even temporarily until places like this figure out how they can move forward, where they can move to. There are businesses here, like you can probably see behind me, there's a huge demolition going on there. That's Doodle's Play Center. It's just about 3 months old. This is a play center for little kids. And on a more personal note, I remember bringing my daughter here a few weeks ago and thinking, wow, this is a lovely place for children here in Lagos, and now it's gone. So these are places that you hope can find a new place to build up again, because at the end of the day, right-of-way is right-of-way. The government do own 250 meters from the coastline. So by law, there's nothing necessarily that people here can do but try and find a way to move forward and hope that the government supports them in the best way, whether that's through compensation or other means.
All right, Leila, you've been doing a lot of good work covering environmental issues. A lot of people seem to be saying, when you look at it closely, that in as much as this is for the greater good, like you said, that it's going to open roads and it's going to open access. But some will say that environmentally, we seem to be missing the mark because beaches globally are an attractive sport. It's actually almost like a melting pot where people go there for various reasons to either relax, unwind, and just sometimes just connect to nature. We seem to be, it's almost saying that we're paying almost the ultimate price to have access from one part of the country to the other. What do you have to say about this?
Aaron, you know, you're spot on with that. Here in Lagos, beach tourism has become ingrained in our identity, in our culture. So certainly this is a worry. Beyond that as well, we have wildlife that we have to think of. These are beaches where turtles come to nest at points, you know. What's going to happen to animals like that who use these spots on occasion, several times a year, to come and nest? So these are things that we definitely have to think of. The government do say that this coastal road is going to improve and enhance tourism through connection, but at the same time, this is a huge blow to beach tourism in Lagos. This is a beachfront that was accessible to many people. Yes, there are arguments over, well, you had to pay to get onto these beachfronts, but that's the same with several beachfronts around the country. So no, definitely, Aaron, it's a huge blow. The environmental effects do need to be considered, which is why we've been going on about the environmental impact assessment for weeks now as well. And I must say, it's been about almost a month now, and we are still yet to receive any proof of the EIA that should be out there to the public from the Federal Ministry of Environment. So we're still waiting to receive that as well. And we have to keep an eye on things like this because the environmental effects and the tourism effects have to be taken into account.
And on that EIA, Leila, what can be done? Because I'm just also feeling this sort of overwhelming sense of helplessness, where there's so much advocacy done, so many conversations, so many engagements, but again, there are a number of things that are not in order. What are some of the steps that can be taken to sort of regularize that EIA, or is it just a done deal? Will it be processed whenever they decide to process it and everybody's just going to move on?
Well, according to the Federal Minister of Works, David Umahi, he says that the EIA has already been processed. Our question is, based on the EIA Act, if it has been processed, we should have access to that document. We've sent official requests and we're yet to receive that document. So it's just a wait and see at this point. We've sent follow-up requests as well. I must add that in as well. We shouldn't have to go on and on and on asking for these documents. They're supposed to be public documents. I know they also held another stakeholders meeting with interested parties to go over the EIA, I think, for the next phase of the project. This was last week. So EIA discussions are ongoing, but where is that initial EIA that was granted for the approval for this road to start? That's what we're still waiting on.
I want to say many thanks to you, Leila Johnson-Salami, for your time here on Newsday.